Nini, everyone. Mary here again. It's been quite a while, a few months, and I am glad that 2017 is coming to an end. It's been a rough year for me and as well as a lot of friends of mine, both in real life and on the internet. So hang in there, everybody. Hopefully we'll have a better time of it in 2018. But anyway, I have just wanted to get back into doing this, and in terms of topics, I figured a good one to talk about would be Ma'at, and, well, what it is and what it isn't, and different things like that, because everybody has their own idea of what Ma'at is, especially in the Kemetic community, but the ancient Egyptians, had a general consensus as to what it is, and sometimes what the ancient Egyptians thought and what modern day people think doesn't really always jive. I mean, of course, morality and our views of what is moral have changed over, the course of thousands of years, and, based on religion or circumstances like what nation you live in, what the culture is, can highly vary all over the place. But um, I just wanted to go over what the ancient Egyptians believed was Ma'at. Because, there's so many people who say, oh, this is Ma'at, or that is Ma'at. And it's like, not according to the ancient Egyptians, who are the original people who thought of Ma'at. So, anyway, let's see. So, Ma'at. Ma'at is an ancient concept that has no direct translation into English. Words like truth, justice, and order only capture individual aspects of Ma'at. Ma'at is personified as a goddess whose attributes also include solidarity, lawfulness, and rightful action. She even encompasses the natural or cosmic order. And I got a quote from Egyptologist Rudolf Anthus. Ma'at holds this world together and makes it a part of the cosmic order. It is the delivery of grain. It is the uprightness of human beings in thought, word, and deed. It is the faithful conduct of the administration. It is the king's prayers and offerings to the divine. It permeates the economy, the administration, the cult, and the law. And in the ancient Egyptian worldview, Ma'at permeated all things in existence. She was imperative for the universe's continuation and for its regular workings. The Neteru were said to feed on Ma'at. She was their ground of being and their sustenance. She had to be regularly upheld and defended. Negative forces such as Apep and the Mosuda Badesh, or Children of Rebellion, threatened her and thus the rest of the universe. The ancient Egyptians defended and upheld Ma'at through various methods such as ritual, war, and good deeds. Ma'at upheld their existence, and they did so for her in turn. Ma'at was also tenuous and vulnerable. After the first intermediate period, ancient Egyptians emphasized the necessity to do and speak Ma'at. If such things were not done, chaos and societal collapse would inevitably repeat. Order had to be actively upheld and realized for their society to remain prosperous. There are many examples in the literature of despair where Ma'at was not assumed to be a given, and how society suffered when she was absent. To do and speak Ma'at was not an overly rigid standard or model of behavior. In the sixth lament of the eloquent peasant, it was more not to scrimp on Ma'at or let it overflow. Ma'at was doing what is correct and reasonable. In the social context, it was imminent lawfulness, continually doing the right thing. Many of the 42 negative confessions concerned actions such as not stealing, killing, committing blasphemy, and in some translations, treason. These actions harmed others and were prescribed in legal as well as religious law. Much of the wisdom literature, such as the instructions of Ptahhotep, elucidated on the type of behavior ancient Egyptians valued. According to Ptahhotep, a good man was patient, chaste, listened carefully, and was usually quiet, but spoke truthfully. In the Book of the Dead, the deceased asserted, I have given bread to the hungry, water to the thirsty, clothes to the naked, and a boat to him who was boatless. Doing Ma'at was simply avoiding bad or harmful actions, doing good, and helping the needy. Social hierarchy was also part of Ma'at. Royalty and the upper class of people were the ones who were supposed to be wealthy, while the lower classes did not have lavish items. The instructions of Ptahhotep states that wealth and prosperity were a gift from the gods. Those who followed Ma'at were rewarded. Those people had their allotted share according to their station in life. Any departure from this type of order was against Ma'at. The admonitions of Ipuwer described a world turned upside down. Indeed, poor men have become owners of wealth, and he who could not make sandals for himself is now possessor of riches. Female servants wore fancy jewelry while noblewomen wore rags. Undeserving people had become prosperous while the virtuous and upstanding were destitute. Charity was certainly a virtue in Egypt, but class was an integral part of the moral order. And certainly, social mores have changed in the roughly 2,000 years since the end of Egyptian civilization. We still punish actions such as theft and murder, but at least in the Western world, we value things like freedom of speech and to allow the criticism of religion. But ancient Egyptians wouldn't have recognized what we often view today as what's morally good. For instance, they had slaves. We don't. We think slavery is something really evil, which they would have been like, what? This is slavery. But anyway, yeah, that was mostly written, scripted. Um, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about it, especially in terms of how social mores have changed today, in terms of, like, especially the social hierarchy part. Because, here, especially in the United States, we've come from a culture that values individualism and pretty much making yourself, being a self-made person. You get your riches and your prosperity from hard work rather than it being a gift of God. And uh, just because you're rich doesn't necessarily mean you're a moral person, especially in our views. Uh, it's gotten through your own actions and your own work rather than you just being a moral person. I guess it's a bit, almost makes me think of oh god, what is that, prosperity dogma or prosperity theology that some Christian churches, like evangelical Christian churches, have. But let me know in the comments, do you think some people kind of um, embellish on what Ma'at is, they're inserting their own moral values into that ancient idea from the ancient Egyptians, or do you think, um, well, I wouldn't say that, you know, uh, what's morally right these days isn't actually morally right because the ancient Egyptians didn't think that way, but of course not. But some people, oh, this is Ma'at, and it's like, I wish we could differentiate, or make or specify, hey, this is what I think is Ma'at, but it's not necessarily what the ancient Egyptians would have believed is Ma'at. So yeah, there's all sorts of things to discuss, and so please comment. Thanks, Synepti.